Hello and welcome to another beautiful episode of Softline. I am Nancy Banigo, and with me today I have the money lady, Alare Jago.
Well, if you had done music, I would understand. But you see, you are still excelling. You are still excelling, and I like the way you pronounce mine. You just add one kind of twist.
Yeah.
One kind of
How
twist
you
is
doing?
really exciting. Oh gosh, Nancy, I am fine. The season.
Yeah. And I love the color you chose for the
Thank
Christmas
you.
color. We have green, gold, white, and what? And red.
Red.
Yeah.
Red.
Well,
Very conspicuous.
many don't do green. They prefer to do red.
Well, right now, I think the trend is changing.
Okay.
It's changing. People are beginning to explore other colors like this green.
I think we should.
Yes.
I think we should.
I think the emphasis on red right now has toned down, especially for maybe the exposed.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just people that had long known that there's something like red, but the ones that now know that green is an X factor. Yes.
It's better because many don't know that Christmas comes in varieties of colors.
Yeah.
I mean Christmas colors. So everybody, once they see red or when they hear Christmas, the first color is red. So it's good we begin to enlighten people to tell them that we have other Christmas colors also. It's not just red. So you're coming from parties. Tell us about it. There's one exciting thing about these children parties. Back in the days when I was growing up, it wasn't a big deal. Parents just, sometimes they don't even attend. Sometimes they just come and just be present, and once the thing is over, they go. But this generation parents are real participants. In fact, I think parents participate more than the children.
Yes.
Parents participate. So let's hear you.
See,
how did it go?
It went extremely well. Now, I think what I would take on this one is the fact that parents are more intentional now. You know what you've missed out on.
Yeah, exactly.
You
so
know
you wouldn't
the
want
effect that, you know what happened to you when each time you needed to perform at school, your parents were not there to even watch you, to be proud of you, to cheer you up. They were not there. So right now,
you want to be there for your children.
You just want to be there for your children. And the children we have right now, they're very outspoken.
Yeah, exactly.
They're very outspoken. They will tell you, Mommy, you need to be there. You need to be there to cheer me up. You need to be there for this. You need to be there for that. So you too, you really want to show up for your child, to tell your child that, look, I love you. And that is one of the ways that you can actually tell your child, look, I love you, and I will be there for you all through.
Yeah, that's exciting. And then I like it that they don't just go there and be there for just their children. They participate in a whole lot of things. And I think the most of these MCs, they've taken it as a point of what they call it now. What word would I use? They just always want to make sure parents
are
involved, like dancing, gaming.
Nancy, let me open your eye or something. If they ask you, when last did you attend a party, or maybe did you just allow yourself to let loose? I think the only place, especially mothers, find
it's
the children party. So we make it our own party.
Oh my goodness! I see many parents are always looking forward to this children party thing.
End of year events, whatever, maybe the cultural programs, and so on and so forth.
I wasn't interested in this initially because where my kids were coming from, the school where they were before, it wasn't that interesting. We just sit down, and then we just watch. But this present school, you don't just sit down.
No.
They bring you out. They will bring you out. You must come and dance. There's one they will ask the children to go and bring out their parents.
And come and dance and participate.
I will be telling my daughter, I'll be giving her eye, go, for where? She will drag me out.
No,
oh my goodness, so it's exciting.
It's one of the ways that parents and children can bond. And at these events, you'll be able to see potentials that you have not seen while at home.
I tell you.
You will now know that, okay, my daughter is actually good at speaking and speaking to large crowd. I didn't know that, she was that she was not bold, or she had a lot of courage or poise or this or that. So you would end up finding out the skills that your children don't have. You get at programs like that.
I tell you.
So these kids are really evolving, and in order for you to get to know your children then and be a part of their life, I think being involved in activities that they are also involved in,
it's another way of bonding, of making it great parenting.
Yeah.
Just that goes with what we're talking about today. You know, for some of those parents who don't like attending some of these functions in their children's school, I think you should better start having a rethink. It's very important, and it's very exciting. I must tell you, we know that parenting can be overwhelming, and sometimes we feel like we are falling short. Welcome to today's episode, where we explore the gentle act of parenting and the power of presence. Join us as we delve into the complexity of absentee parenting and the beauty of redemption. In this space, we will share stories, expert insight, and practical tips to empower you on your parenting journey. So joining us to do this today is our very own Dr. Edohoeket Eshiet, who is a counseling psychologist and a family coach. Doctor, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you, Nancy, for having me.
You're welcome.
It's wonderful to be
You're
here.
welcome, Dr.
Yeah. Compliment of the
Wonderful.
season.
Compliment.
Yeah.
And for your brain trying to tell us to go nature.
Oh yeah.
Yes. It's wonderful to be here.
Yeah, and I love your outfit, I must say. I just have to say it.
And you know, today is exciting. We just had the budget from the president. So there is a
Yeah.
great hope.
Yeah. Great
ahead.
hope. So
So-
let's dress to
So
the
this
occasion.
parenting issue is hope.
All right, doctor. So let's dive into this wonderful conversation. I know so many parents are guilty of this. So, and this is a very, those kind of conversation you wouldn't want to miss. So bring your chairs close and then listen. I'm sure you're going to learn a whole lot. So let's start from by defining what exactly is absentee parenting. So we don't just say absentee.
Thank you very much for
You're
that
welcome.
question. So before we do that, so we now have to define who is a parent.
Okay.
So the first thing,
All
you know who
right.
a parent is, then you're not good for the other.
Okay.
A parent simply is someone who gives birth to a child or children, also nurtures and bring them up.
Okay. Mm.
And so that's who a parent actually is, though we can also have foster parents who may have to take over.
I'm glad you had to mention that nurturing.
Yeah.
Yeah, not
Nurturing.
just giving birth to
Give
a
birth,
child.
nurturing, and bring them up. So that means there are so many things involved in that. And so when from that angle, we now go to who is an absentee. An absentee is someone who is not where he or she is supposed to be. Someone that is not in residence, someone that is not at the point of duty. So if you combine the two and then have an absentee parent, which now brings us to parenting, simply means a person who has given birth to a child, a man or a woman, but who is not there to raise this child and give the physical presence, the emotional attention, the financial, and all that is needed for that child to actually evolve to when they become
Reliance.
self-reliant.
Okay.
Yeah.
They can become self-supportive. That means at least the first 18 years. And thereafter, it's where a child can now stand on his own. They need you to have that. So when you abscond, when you leave that responsibility, you are an absent parent. But you can say, I have my children. People say they have their children. Sometimes they only see them when the child is about to be married, maybe the lady. That's when the father now comes up. But where were you? So the person was absentee. That means you have left the post of parenting. You may even be around.
Yeah, that's what I want to say. You can be around and still be
And then
absent.
still
You may
be
be still
absent
around.
at
Yeah.
the same
You'll
time.
be around, but you're not involved. Like when I came in, you were discussing about the school parties.
Exactly.
So not being involved at the different stages of the
Child's
child,
life.
like a milestone. That means you are parenting, but in an absentia.
That's heavy.
You know, there are certain times, okay, that certain factors might prompt one
Okay.
to be here but not here. I don't know if that also we can classify it as absentee parents, you know, because a parent can be that's at home, all right, physically, but the mind and every other aspect of the person is completely out. The person is literally not involved. Would you also classify that, you know, parent, or what are the things that classifies, you know, an absentee parent?
Okay.
So let's be more technical so that we can have a definitive explanation.
Okay.
The word an absentee, for example, a place of work, I'm supposed to be here. If I didn't come for this meeting that we've scheduled, so I would have been absent. That means you're not there. So most of the time when we talk of parenting in absentia, it simply means the person is not there for the child to grow under him or her. Then from a technical perspective, that is like saying absent-mindedness.
Yes.
Not being in the present. You know, I can be, they said, be present in the present. So that one, you know, it could be momentary that sometimes someone is so emotionally and psychologically, mentally, you know, absorbed or challenged that is not giving the proper attention that people need. But if it now becomes a normal way, something is wrong. But if just for the moment, maybe the person is trying to get himself back, something would have happened to the person, is trying to grapple issues, is not giving fine. But when it now becomes that even if the person is there, is ignoring the presence of the essential needs of the child. So the person may be present, but is not actually present. So technically, is still an absent parent, even in the same roof.
All right, now let's talk about the causes and then the consequences of an absentee parent.
Yes, so the first thing we need to do is, parenting simply is what? The art of what?
Nurturing.
Raising children, nurturing, giving birth, and taking care of all the responsibilities and activities attached to it. Like school runs is part of it. You know, sometimes people, because they have ratings of cars, they feel, oh, why should I go and pick the child?
The drivers to
Someone
do that.
else.
You'll be surprised that when you sit the child and ask, they say, my father doesn't like me, doesn't love me. But every day they are driven in limousine. But the child does not see it as love. Whereas the man would have seen, do you know how much I love my children, or the woman? I have given
them this kind of vehicle.
They're always there. In fact, they are picked at the airport. But the child will say, my parents are not always with me. They don't love me, because that's what he can interpret, seeing other people's children. So now, what would have caused people to be absent parenting? The first thing is immaturity.
Immaturity.
In starting a family. You know, some people just jump into starting a family without counting the cost.
Exactly.
And most especially now that because of advance in medicine and technology and nutrition, we are going to live longer. And so when someone jumps in today at 25 and the person is asking God for long life, that is, you're talking the next 60 years.
So
are you ready for the tax to be there? At least the first 20 years for your children before they can now find their fittings. So immaturity to know the dynamics of what it involves to have a child, not just to bring the child down
into the world,
but the emotional contents.
How would you know you are? How would you know you are mature enough?
Talking about that maturity, because you know, let me just cut in here a little. You know, when you get married, as soon as you just finish that ceremony and everything, they start counting for you the next 9 months. So as soon as you enter into marriage, the next thing you should be thinking about is having the child. If the first 9 months passes and you are not there, people begin to think there's something wrong with you. But I've seen families who decided to hold on for 2 years until they are ready. Before they start having children. So where is the maturity in all this?
Like, how would you know? At what point? How would you know that, okay, yes, right now, I am mature enough
ready
to bring
to have
forth,
children.
and then to nurture these children as, you know, it demands. Yes.
Maturity involves emotional capacity to handle your own feelings and those of others. Then the psychological maturity is to go along with the stress, the thoughts, the planning of raising a home. and then also the finances.
Yeah.
So when you put these things together, you can now determine maturity. It differs from people to people. But you know that at least there is a little level of maturity within the context of a society that you will be able to stand and take care of a home, raise a child, be there for them, tolerate their excesses, subordinate their own desire
For them. For
for
theirs.
them. So some people don't know how difficult it will be to raise a child, and they just jumped in. And then before you know it, they could be out. And another person is raising the child. They take the child to the father. If you go around this city, you see a lot of parents raising their children for them. Because the sons and daughters don't know what it takes to raise the children. But they have those children. Then also, what could also cause it? Technology also has become a problem. What was supposed to be a help, we discussed when we had that intergenerational relationship. The devices that were meant to help us has now become the norm.
Yeah.
So people can relate with their children, relate with their loved ones via technology. Even inside the same room. The mom could be somewhere and talking with the children in the living room.
True.
And they communicate that way.
True.
So those things can also emotionally make you to be absent. Sometimes, your children need touch. A child needs about a minimum of 10 touches a day.
Wow. Hello.
Just to touch the child, so that they don't feel when another person touches them outside, they see it as a big thing. Because they have never been touched. Embraced.
There's no
by
feel
their
the
parents.
warmth of the
the warmth
parents.
is not there. So that can also be a problem. Then another thing that can bring about absent parenting is when a family breaks down. If there is a divorce and there's a separation decision, definitely in most cases, the parents, one person will desert, will be absent while the child is raised up until maybe a certain stage. When the child is graduating, the person now shows up, or when the person wants to get married. So it can also bring about that. Then another thing is dual city living arrangement.
Yeah.
At the initial stage, it may be very easy. Don't worry, we'll come visit every Wednesday. We are coming every Friday. But suddenly, before you know it, because they live in two cities, because of work or businesses, one person, if not intentional, will be off the radar of raising the child. And then anytime you say, did you see a child? Oh, I see it every time. How? I've just sent them money. So that can also, dual city arrangement can also bring absent parenting on the part of a particular person.
Wow.
Then we can also look at outright act of irresponsibility.
Okay. Yeah, exactly.
Someone can just walk away from the home. He says he's tired. And especially when people go into raising a family before they discovered who they are.
Yeah.
They now settle into marriage and then suddenly realize who they need to be, who they're supposed to be. Then the family become a constraint.
Yeah.
I would have loved, I would have gone far if not that I was in this. And before you know it, their own desire, their own plan may be
overshadow the responsibility of a
They can send the
parent.
child to go and be raised by another person. So a lot of things are there. And like what has become, is it a blessing or also a problem?
Now turned out to
This
be
JAPA syndrome.
Yeah.
Is also a lot of people are raising their children alone because over time they cannot come together or don't even have the time to bond. So absentee parenting is that when you are not there at the critical interface of a child's life. For example, the child goes the first day to register in school.
You're not there.
You should be the one to take that child to go and register in school. That day will remain evergreen. When they are leaving their grade school, primary 6, this and that, those days are very important just to make sure that they are there. They won't tell you, but they know, my father is always there, my mom is always there. And so you connect with them emotionally and the rest. So they now see that you are part of them. Even if someone tells you that doesn't love you, it's not true. My dad is always there with me.
Yeah.
But there's another child that you tell, your father likes you. He said, no, he's not my father. He's not always there for me. He said, but he does all these things. He said, no, he doesn't talk to me, he doesn't do this.
So for the child, until you're physically present, not just your money being present.
A visitor can give money.
Yeah, and that's the mistake we make.
Yeah.
We run after this money,
Yes.
make money, spend money on these children, and you know, you feel you are doing the best for them. At the end of the day,
What really matters to them is different from what you think.
You know, there was a story my pastor shared that a boy, is it a boy or a girl, was given a home task from school. And the home task was that draw your family picture and put everybody where they belong. So the boy drew every member of the family and he didn't put the father. So when he now gave the father the assignment to look at before it, he said, what is it? He said, okay, it's a family tree. We were asked to draw for everybody and put them. He said, but what is me? He said, sorry, Daddy, you're not always around now, so I can't put
That's so
you.
sad. That's really sad.
all right,
So-
I do. Okay, you want to go?
Yes,
Go
I
ahead.
want to go, please, because this illustration he just gave now just had me thinking. I'm just imagining the emotional state of that child at this point in time. What would be the effect of this, you know, so this absence,
Parenting
you
of the
know,
children.
on the children, please?
Enormous mental issues first. The child would experience what we call cognitive disorientation. Won't be able to think what is actually wrong that my daddy and my mom is not always there for me, or one person is not there. Because at this level, they can't put the maths together. They now believe either they are bad
Yeah.
or they are not worth the presence of their parents. Because they
Wow.
go to parties, they see this here. They go to end of the school, they go for Sunday school, they take them to their classes, they go to pick them. So the child will just feel it's not
Good enough.
or something that is precious. So the child may be having a lot of problems. It could be depressed. Then low self-esteem. Because they can ask him, your father is not always there. You know how children is. Your daddy doesn't bring you to school. Your daddy didn't bring you to. They keep on asking. So the child have low self-esteem. He will see himself as not being worthy compared to friends and those that he feels have their parents always there. Then poor scholastic achievement. It will affect academics. It will affect their education. They won't be able to concentrate.
Okay.
When it becomes apparent they are not there. You know, I walk around school, so we see these things. You see these things. You see a lot of issues. The children just are hanging there. Then poor social skill, they won't be able to relate because they have not had a role model to see how you can coordinate yourself around. Then they can't bond. You know, since they didn't have this bond,
Yeah.
this attachment deficit, they won't be able to bond with outside. If my father and mother is not bonding, we don't have the place we can be. So how do we trust outside? Until they're able to get into a family that, like foster parents, that can create that. Then they may become rebellious because they have internalized that anger. And they can always latch it out, especially on a parent's figure individual. You will see every adult has their father. So sometimes when you see a child lashes out at the teacher, you're seeing a teacher just a reflection of some significant person in their life. So they are not able to work.
All
Then-
right. Now,
the rest.
let's talk about how to break the cycle. You know, what strategies can parents, you know, use to break this cycle of absentee parenting?
The first thing we need to do, and people need to understand, is that marriage, family, and parenting is a huge calling. Marriage, family, parenting is what? A very huge calling and not a fantasy trip that you jumped in without counting the costs. And anybody can have a child,
Yeah.
Yes.
can father a child, can give it to a child. But it takes a lot of commitment to raise that child. It's not about how much you have.
It's true.
To be there, to tolerate their excesses, to take that child to school and go and bring that child when there is need to do that, to take the child to clinic. You know, some people have never taken their child to hospital.
Especially fathers.
But I'm different because I'm the
fathers.
decision of the
In
house.
fact, when you were talking, I'm just wrapping my head. Most fathers.
They don't take them to hospital. Because there are always people there, we can call for ambulance, we can call for this, you take your child, okay, mommy will take you, you know. But definitely, what is the person doing? He's playing draft somewhere. He's just going there to golf club. Because they believe that since I provided all these things, look at the houses they are living. Why don't they know that alone? So the first thing is that it's a huge calling. Then parents should put their own desires under and prioritize their children. When you prioritize your child, you're able to give them the time that they need. And you must be intentional to create time to be around. You know, so it's not about how much you spend, because we are all at different levels of socioeconomic and financial capacity. But whether you like it or not, your child knows that my father likes me.
Yeah.
You may not give them all the sweet things, but you just know that my daddy likes me. Even with the granite you bring to them to eat, because they know they are always there. So what happens is that the intentional and decide, and most especially, we want to sound this. You know that this intergenerational flow, the person that was hot, likely hot, even unintentionally, because there is a pathway.
Yeah.
And so, if you look at it, most time, these things have a connection. If you look at is how we be. So you need to intentionally look at, is there any hurt you have not expressed fully?
Heal from. Ask God to help you seek professional counsel, and then determine to be the one to stop that flow from continuing, and take decisive action. Just little step by little. Decide to be for your children, and before you know it, they'll feel you.
We're still discussing absentee parenting, and I know in the course of the discussion, many parents will be feeling guilty now, because it's as if doctor is really
doctor
is talking to me.
He's talking to
he's talking to us, right?
Yes,
okay, so but before we continue with this conversation, let's take some socials so that doctor can react to them. Let's see this first one from Sense. It says, the definition of absent father needs to be visited.
You were just saying
I'm telling you, fathers. The mere fact that someone shares a home with his kids doesn't make him a present father. But they won't be called dumb beats, because that is a term associated with lack of financial support. Parenting is not just about money. All right, so this one from Dr. Nico. The emotional absent parents can be at events, okay, provide food and shelter, but they never truly connect with their child. They don't actually appreciate and learn who their child is as a human. This is our first experience of heartbreak, and leaves a hole we spend a lifetime trying to fill. Oh my goodness. And this one from Asha says, the kid who had a lack of parents in their lives and lack of parenting will move on to become the most loving and nurturing parent. Take note.
Yes.
All right. So they just want to give to their kids what they never got and help them become better people. So this one says, my dad never lifted a finger. He never changed a diaper. He never washed a dish. He never cooked a meal. We haven't talked in over 4 years. I don't want a relationship with someone who doesn't raise me and who lets my mom down. Oh, goodness. Absent fathers, stop assuming mothers teach children to hate you. Children notice fathers who don't want to be involved in their upbringings. Stop this nonsense of thinking mothers poison your children against you. Your absence is the biggest poison. Wow, that's the last one. And it's a very deep one, I must say.
Very deep.
Because
how come they majored only on fathers, you know?
That's the problem.
That's the
problem.
The dad being absent.
Because fathers are always thinking they're the providers. They have to work to provide. And this takes them off the family.
Yeah, that is the patriarchal dimension of family. From time immemorial, family has been patriarchal, that is paternity.
Yeah.
And if you go back ages, the men were hunters
Okay.
So they stay all time hunting.
Hunting, looking for food.
So when they come back, they give the food or the games they have been able to hunt down
to the
mothers to take to
mothers
dress.
are nurturers.
So
they
they
nurture.
rest and then discuss with their folks, and then before you know, the day is over. So over time, that transfer is still in the mind of the society. So the man is saying, I brought this in, so you should be able to take care of it. And so that dynamics is still what is going on. So you need to consciously break. Like I said, very many parents, guys, don't take their children to school, even if they have 20 vehicles. They say, I don't have to do it. But it has really changed because I walk around schools.
Okay.
This generation is changing. Like the tweets we have there, you can see is flowing from pains.
Exactly,
that have not been-
experiences.
Yes, that have not been actually healed. So, and it has been shown, research is that all major criminals that we have globally, if you trace the genesis of their crime involvement, their fathers were not available. So they didn't have examples. Trace it. Do the research. Google it. Because the father draws a boundary. They may be weak, but because they are there, they are boundaries. So the woman is a nurturer, but the man, discipline. Discipline doesn't mean can. It simply means you have a boundary. You have authoritative
Order.
parenting.
Bring
What does
about
that mean?
order.
People know that if they do this, this is the consequence. So they now make informed decision. So when that is not there, that hole can take a long time to heal
Okay.
for the woman and even for the guys. And it's even worse for the ladies because they won't be able to have a template for who a man is.
Okay. Now let's talk about that other tweet where she said people who come from parents who were not always there,
Yes.
they end up loving more.
Yes.
You
You
know
know-
how true?
Yes. You know the book, I came with a book the other time we did something on divorce,
Okay.
the 25-year study. And we call that book The Unexpected Legacy of Divorce. That we saw so much positive turnaround. And they were asking those people why. He said because they never had this. They had made a conscious decision and determination
To give it.
to give. So from that tweet, a lot of persons who have had this pain, when they're able to process it, it's like, I am the last bus stop. This will not continue. So they now give it as a way of reacting to it. They compensate what they didn't have in their children. But there are some still who are not able to traverse that and overcome. Either because they don't have the self-agency to do that on their own, or a professional help like what we are doing to walk through their pains and answer, fine, what I didn't have, I will give to the next generation. So what she said holds ground.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, how might the impact of an absentee parent, all right, differ from a single parent and actually an absent parent in a family setting?
Okay, single parenting?
Yes, how might it differ?
Yeah, I know there are many things that causes single parenting. If one parent is dead, so that person, that family is single parenting. If it's deserted, if it is separated or divorced. But you know, the thing is that no one person can effectively play the role of a man and a woman in a marriage. No matter how you try, the makeups are different. But you know that so many single parents have done wonderfully well. Sometimes it becomes a challenge for them. They now took it as a challenge to raise. There's so many wonderful people on earth. You trace it, they were raised by just one person.
That's true.
But others also sometimes they don't have the capacity because financially, economically, a lot goes into it. Then so you now connect, how does it differ from absentee parenting?
Okay.
This one is that something actually happened that has caused this
The
to
absent.
be. So it's easy for the people to adjust and even the children to come
Effect
to term,
change,
to come to term with it. But this one is that the marriage may not actually, or the family break down, but it's just that the person is not there. He's not connecting. So is now seen as a sort of desertion, or the person is intentionally doing it, so the people will not be able to understand why. Because, okay, they have not divorced, he's not dead, he's not that, so why is he not connecting with us? So they now see that that means the person doesn't know. So that inability, lack of inability to really understand why this happened is a big problem. Unlike single family, you just know it has happened. Over time, you should be able to come to terms with it. Yeah.
All right, now let's look at how we can prioritize children's emotional requests, emotional well-being. Because it's not easy, seriously, for you, to set aside things you need to do just because you want to be there for the children emotionally. So, but I'm sure you will give us some tips on how to.
Well, thank you. I was raised by a very strict father, a teacher. So sometimes
teachers always strict.
Yeah, because they have to keep you in line. So sometimes I may be like someone who doesn't show emotion, but I have emotions. So people will feel I don't have emotion. The first thing is that understand that emotions is part of our human makeups.
Okay.
Emotional intelligence. We feel, we think, and we behave. The three things go together. And then emotions on their own are not bad. They are part of life. The one challenge is that men are logical, analytical. We are math oriented. Just look at it. So that if you are talking to your husband and say, okay, can you just go straight to the point? But you are trying to tell him how the road winds. He says, I know, but what did you actually arrive? Because of urgency. So one thing is that let's try as fathers, as parents, to move away from urgency culture. Some people have this urgency culture. Every time you go to them, whether in their house, inside their office, they always give the impression that they don't even have a time. So sometimes your child wants to talk to you now. Oh, you were busy on it.
What is it?
And then the child will not be able to flow again. So sometimes we have to intentionally put down the remote and other things just here. It could be difficult, especially you're coming from work, you are battered, you are thinking, the landlord I just called you as you step into the house, a lot of things. You can't tell your child everything. And the child is now running. What is it? My toy just broke. And you waited for me with your toy. So ability to, even if you don't pretend for some time, when you pretend, you're able to flow. So just give them. You may not, sometimes that they may not take all your attention. They run to you as soon as they tell you and you open up. Before you know it, they have left you. So that registers in their mind that my father will always be there, my mom will always be there. So that try to give them to vent. And then sometime, even if you don't talk with them, just being present, they know. Just be with them. Hold their hands, touch them, and create a room for them to be children. But also make sure that you maintain boundaries. Because even a child that you don't maintain boundaries, no, you don't even love him. They will not like it, but they know, my father, if you do it, if you do this thing, mommy will not like it. Because discipline is a show of love that is going to pay dividends tomorrow. So create that time and give them, knowing that they cannot think like you. So what they just want is sometimes is not the answer they are looking for. It's just for you to show that you listen to them.
No, that listening is a problem because my daughter talks plenty. When I come back from work like this, she wants to discuss. She wants to talk and talk and talk and talk, and she will fill your ears with talk. The thing is, the moment she starts to talk, and then I now said, okay, do you want to play a game? And then I just, carry this phone. That is the day I'm not in that space to listen to her chatters. I can give her the phone to play a game. I don't know how bad that is, but that is how I tend to keep her busy and then get that little space to get myself. The moment I give her that phone, she's off. Now she doesn't talk anymore.
Until she's done. So that everybody has to know what works for them. Because your mental health is also important. You need to be available to be available.
Yes, exactly.
So they need a balance, because a child is full of energy. They can swam you with their multiple request, and then you as a father or as a mother.
So you should create that
you
balance.
create with it. And they should also know that there's a time mommy and daddy doesn't want to be disturbed.
Exactly.
For me, I have a ritual. What's my ritual? As soon as I enter the house, I take a shower and I lie down and rest my back at least 1 hour.
Okay. And that 1 hour is no disturb time.
They know. Then when I wake up, because your health, you must be available for them.
Okay.
You're being at work, you sat down, like if I'm living here, I'm going to sit down, marking hundreds of scripts. So when I go back, I need to be mentally
Yeah.
So that's scheduling.
So when you now come back, you stay. So try to schedule. Look for what works within your own context, your own family. Because what works for A may not work for B. But what we are saying is that don't try to overdo to show you are there. But within your capacity, just let them have that little time with you. Go out with them, especially like you said, the school issues. The last couple of days, my two daughters, they're different schools, so they have their closing.
Okay.
Not that I bought anything for them, but I just went to their school.
That will mean so much to them.
Yes.
Greeted them. Then I now moved to the other school, sat down with them, they finished, and then I took her home.
They could tell their friends,
Yeah.
that's my dad.
You get the
My
point.
dad is
I may
here.
not buy anything for them.
Oh, yes.
Other parents will buy things because they have, but for the father, I go pick them, drop them here, then go back, pick them, we enter a bus and go. That is my own present for you. So that is what you need to do.
Now, when you're presenting this parent, sorry, Larry, do you make them understand that this is
what
your
you're showing.
own way of loving
Yes.
them?
I show them, I love you, that's why we paid your school fees.
Okay.
That's why I'm coming to pick you. I will leave my office, pick my daughter at a school nearby here, we take her home, then come back to my office.
Yeah.
I can ask her to enter
On her own.
On her own. But why I'm even working? I'm working for these people. And so I'll go there, pick them, go drop some time, I just wait, they cross to the house, then I go back to the office.
Okay.
This is my own way of telling you that words. I care and I love you. So that's within my capacity. So everybody knows
All right.
what they need to
So
do.
there's this aspect I want you to speak on.
Okay, ma'am.
All right. Coping with. How do the child cope with? Because let's say the family, maybe the mother is still in this state and then the father is also
interstate
yes,
thing.
the interstate marriage. It is inevitable.
Yeah.
This is your reality. So how does the child cope with the absentee parent?
The first thing, like I said, is these decisions need to be taken with serious amount of concern.
Okay.
You know why I left my work? It was not because I fought. My marriage was just 11 months when I was transferred from Lagos to Iyo. My daughter was 3 months. I was crying till I got to bus stop because that was not the reality of the kind of home. So for 2 years, I was always going back from here to Lagos every Friday between 2014 and 2015. By the time they came in, before I know, I was sent to Port Harcourt. And before I know, I was due to Sokoto.
It was like they were after you.
So I now decide I had to leave the work because of my family. But you know, it takes so much to make these decisions.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so it's inevitable we need the money, work and everything. So people have to stay. But before people decide to stay in 2 cities, they need to really count the cost. And when it is inevitable, you have to really plan for proper visits and then supplement the other time with technology. Because this is the reality of the time.
Yes.
But the fact is that don't just jump up and make decisions to stay. If it is possible, be together.
Okay.
But when it is completely inevitable, there's some jobs that happen like that. You travel all over the world in 6 months, you know. And that's why before even married, know the kind of future you have. If you're marrying a sailor, you should know what that road means.
Yeah.
You marry a pilot, and you should know. So that will also determine, and then see how you make your children early enough to understand the dynamics of the family.
Very important.
Yes.
So what coping mechanism now do you give to the child?
the child,
you've
the
brushed
child,
us up on the parents.
the child needs to understand, the children are growing.
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4. So you have to expose them and tell them based on what they can understand.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
So as they grow, they'll be able to understand.
Are there roles that maybe relatives can play in this regard?
Yes, there's a place here I have. Okay, what's the solutions? For example, understand and know ahead of time that challenges will be encountered and be ready to face and seek for professional help. Even concerned significant family members can help.
Okay.
You see, the family we had is no more there. The communal family. So what happens is that if there is this gap, concerned persons should be able to reach out and see how they can resolve and see how they can make these children also to be part of what a community, the community and the family setting. Because whether we like it or not, the society, these things will be, like it says, some people are immature, some people are not ready. For so many reasons, it is going to happen. But if we are conscious to know that these children need us, we can do the little we can from our own ends to reduce it. So that's a challenge for you and I. We are all parents. So we begin to be example. We prioritize these children more than we prioritize our own desires and our own needs.
All right, we have to go, but not without you giving us a closing remark. This is a very important topic.
Our closing remark is simple. Like I said, this may look harsh, but not so harsh. What we need to know is that to absent yourself from raising a child or children you brought into the world is both a sin and a crime. A sin in the sense that it violates what God wanted for us to raise children that can stand for the next generation. And it's a crime because not raising the child, being there for them, you may produce a miscreant, which goes against what the society stands for. So it's both a sin and a criminal act. So you have to refrain from it. And the greatest thing is that ask God to help you raise your children and know that family is God's design, and then prioritize these your children, create the time for them, do what you can within your financial and economic capacity. Your presence is more than present. You buy them presents, but they need more of your presence. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Eshiet. Present is more than
present.
A great takeaway, I must say. All right, Alari, we'll have to go. You have something you want to share?
Oh, yes, I think my advice would be to the absentee fathers.
Fathers.
No, you know you had already smashed on parents. So now our tweets focused more on the fathers. So I think that there's a loophole somewhere that needs to be filled. So it's important for fathers to be more intentional, in raising their children. It's not a job for the woman only, because the woman also works.
Especially now,
both mothers and fathers work. So it's important that you not only give funds but also give your time.
All right, that's where intentionality
and when they give the time, you should also appreciate and tell the children your father is trying.
Certainly.
And maybe you buy them a fowl in African culture.
Thank you so much, Doctor, for your insightful contribution on this topic. All right, that's all we have for today. Be intentional, be an intentional parent, and I'm sure everything will move smoothly. Thank you so much for being a part of the show today. From all of us in the studio, bye-bye, and thanks for watching.
Bye for now.